So, is the Camino de Santiago safe to hike? Are you thinking of hiking the Camino de Santiago, but you're unsure if it's safe? Is your family worried that your trip is just too dangerous? I'm going to give you my opinion on that subject and tell you about some of the questions other people have asked me. The Camino de Santiago, the French way, is a 500-mile hike across beautiful northern Spain. You're going to go through 7 provinces and you're going to meet lots of wonderful people. Is it safe? Some of the questions people have asked me is, for instance, yeah, but what if I get lost? Well, the idea of traveling to another country and walking across it sounds daunting, yet hundreds of thousands of people each year complete all or part of the trek. The Camino is so well traveled that a whole economy exists to support the pilgrims. The signage along the way is excellent, making it very easy to follow. This, along with guidebooks and apps for your phone, provide the infrastructure to help you along the way. The travelers are well supported by the community, and it is not unusual for a total stranger to help the traveler when he looks like they may be in trouble, often unsolicited. Now, it's important to pay attention to what you're doing, but don't worry too much about getting lost. I found it more difficult to negotiate airports than the Camino. And lastly, fellow pilgrims are more willing and eager to help you when times get tough. Really, is walking the Camino safe? What about crime? Am I going to be a victim of a crime? Well, to make the statement that no crime exists on the Camino would be foolish. Anywhere in the world there are people, there will be crime. Having said that, the Camino de Santiago is one of the safest places in the world to travel, in my opinion. There are several reasons for this. Firstly, there is a widespread camaraderie on the Camino that fosters a sense of community. Pilgrims look out for one another. There are many people, such as myself, that walk the Camino alone. Yet, you're never really alone. There's always someone within a few minutes of your location, and in fact, most occasions, they're within sight. Others form friendships early on with others and walk the Camino together. There is safety in numbers. Some people walk together a short time. I called them 5-minute friends. And others form trail families that completed the Camino together. I think this is especially beneficial for women traveling alone. I saw many women on the Camino who were on their own, of all ages. Most that I met were happy to travel with a Camino friend. The Spanish people are very supportive of the travelers and actually in many cases watch out for them. The folks who live along the way are accustomed to pilgrims and for the most part are supportive. This could be due to the fact that many of them have walked the Camino themselves. There are so many businesses along the Camino that depend on pilgrim traffic. It's certainly in their best interest to look out for the pilgrims. My personal opinion is that there is also a religious aspect to the support of the locals. After all, the Camino de Santiago has been a religious pilgrimage for over 1,000 years, and not to support the pilgrims would be sinful in many persons' eyes. Aside from concerns about criminal activity, there are basic safety factors to consider. Walk with road safety in mind. The majority of the Camino is not on wilderness trails, but on or alongside roadways. Remember to follow the road signs. Stay out of traffic lanes and cross streets at the appropriate crosswalks. I noticed in many cities that pedestrians had the right-of-way. If you approached a crosswalk, traffic would stop for you even if there was no signal light. In the cases where the crosswalks have lighted signs, obey them. My understanding that violent crime on the Camino is rare. Using the same habits you have at home to avoid a situation that could result in becoming a crime victim applies on the Camino. Don't ever leave your valuables unattended. I carried my passport, pilgrim's credential, phone, and my money in a fanny pack. I never went anywhere without it. Even when I was showering, I had it there with me. Don't leave other valuable things out in the open for others to see. This is true when you are charging your electronics or going out to dinner. Make sure they are out of sight. If that's not possible, just charge them later. Many of the albergues have lockers to store your things. Use them. You may be hoping to disconnect on your journey, but it's wise and actually probably a necessity to carry a cell phone with either an international data plan or a local SIM card. There is a useful app in Spain called Alert Cops. It's government-sponsored and it's available in many languages. The app will get you in touch with authorities in an emergency. Petty theft on the Camino does happen, although it is also rare. On my time on the Camino, I only met one person who was the victim of a petty theft. When you go into an albergue, you must leave your dirty shoes on a rack outside of the living area. This man had his boots stolen from the rack. It's hard to believe anybody would want someone's nasty old boots, but that's what happened. Remember, the albergues are only open to someone with a pilgrim's credential, so it's not available to just anyone that comes along. And the whole time I was on the Camino, I only felt uncomfortable a couple of times. One was a fellow pilgrim that I thought was odd. There was something about him that just creeped me out. He didn't seem to be dangerous, but I just tried to stay away from him. The other was an aggressive panhandler that I had to be firm with to get him to leave me alone. Just a word on panhandlers. There were very few on the Camino, and the overwhelming majority were in the big city and were always respectful. The majority of crime that I did see was vandalism, unfortunately, by other pilgrims, leaving their mark along the trail.
Yeah, what about my health?
Well, if you're worried that the Camino de Santiago is a physically demanding challenge, you're right, it is. You have to prepare physically for your trip. I've seen videos where the presenter will tell you that you don't need to be physically fit to walk the Camino. They'll tell you that you can just get up off the couch and begin your walk. While this might be technically true, it's my opinion that this is really bad advice. Now, don't get me wrong, I certainly don't want to discourage anybody from their dream of hiking the Camino. Barring illness, you can do it. Just prepare for it. I saw people, especially at the start, who had obviously not prepared physically for the trip. The first day over the Pyrenees is tough. I saw more than one person crying by the side of the trail. With some preparations, you can avoid suffering that many people experience. So hiking and working out, it's kind of one of my hobbies. So I was already pretty fit for a man of my age. But I increased my workout regimen to include a great deal of walking prior to starting the trek. I also consulted with my doctor, told him what I had planned, and discussed what precautions I should take. By the time I started, I was ready for the physical challenge. Another easily overlooked health issue, especially for people who don't normally do this type of thing, is hydration. Listen, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. This is crucially important. When performing any physically demanding activity, you should be hydrating. For women, you should be drinking about 91 ounces of water per day. For men, about 125 ounces of water per day. For women, that's 2.7 liters, and men, that's 3.7 liters. Your water needs increase when you are participating in physical exercise. For example, when you're working out, fluids are lost through respiration and sweat. And on the Camino, you're out in the sun all day. These natural processes help to manage body temperatures and protect the organs within. Your exact fluid loss can range between 17 to 50 ounces of water per hour. A variety of factors influence the amount of water you're losing while working out, such as body size, exercise intensity, ambient temperature, how much you sweat, humidity and weather, elevation, and what activities you're performing. Don't wait until you're thirsty to drink water. You should be having to urinate regularly. If you are not, drink more water. I followed my own advice throughout my Camino journey up until the last day of hiking, when I stopped paying attention and began dehydrating. My legs were cramping, I felt unsteady on my feet, and felt just terrible. Fortunately, I recovered quickly, but it was a big mistake. Another important topic that you probably wouldn't think of as being part of a safety video is nutrition. So the food in Spain is just wonderful. If you find the food that's wonderful, you can also eat junk food the whole way. I saw people doing that. I saw people eating fine cuisine. So remember, you're burning more calories than usual, so you need to be aware and eat accordingly. The Pilgrim's diet is kind of sufficient. Pilgrim's diet is, Pilgrim's menu is what they feed you at the albergues and some of the bars. It usually consists of protein, like a fish or chicken, and a salad, and almost always French fries, and a dessert. Sometimes it comes with wine, sometimes it doesn't. You can have water instead. And it's sufficient for calories, and it's not too bad as a nutritional diet. But if you want to find good food in Spain, you can. I was so excited when I entered Galicia and I found a place that had an American breakfast. This was the first American breakfast I had had on the Camino. And this was the best hamburger I've ever had in my life. It was made of pork and veal. It had a fried egg on the top. Boy, was it delicious. The pinchos and tapas are great too. This is a Spanish tortilla. You can have it hot or cold. It's really yummy, and I ate a lot of those on the Camino. I tried really hard not to lose weight while I was on the Camino, but when it was all said and done, I'd lost about 10 pounds. And what I discovered was, at my age, when you lose 10 pounds, you get more wrinkles. So fortunately, when I got home, I gained it back. Unfortunately, I maintained the wrinkles. As you can see here, there's many ways to hike the Camino, and I can only speak to hiking the French way. So to sum things up, many people are excited to hike the Camino, but they're worried about their safety. My answer to that is, if you follow simple rules, you'll have a safe and enjoyable Camino experience. Well, thanks for watching this video on my opinion on the safety on the Camino. If you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments, or if you have any ideas for future videos, leave them there. I try and answer all of those comments. In the meantime, please like and subscribe.